I made a video this past summer that went viral, and I was talking about how the village is actually another way that we exploit women for free labor and take all responsibility off of the men in our lives. So I want to add to that. I just watched the video of a woman who said that as a child-free person, she struggles in a lot of her relationships, or has struggled in a lot of relationships that she's had with women who have children, because as soon as they have kids, there's this automatic expectation that she's going to be a babysitter and be willing to pick little Jimmy up from soccer practice and just be this surrogate auntie. And her argument is, I am child free, and that was never an expectation that I agreed upon. And I think that she's definitely valid in feeling that way. But again, as I said at the start of the video, I do in a lot of cases feel like the village is just a way to exploit women's free labor and to help absolve men of any responsibility, because your husband doesn't have to worry about finding a nanny because best friend Cicely is going to do it. You know, he doesn't have to worry about if you're sick or having surgery, worried about how those kids are going to get taken care of, because your sister Suzanne's going to come over and do that shit for him. He doesn't have to make arrangements for spring break or change his schedule anyway, because grandma's going to come over and watch the kids. So these men get to go on and live their lives. After their kids are born, their lives change very little, if at all, because of the fact that this village has just swooped in and filled in the gaps for the shit that he's not doing. For those of you who actually didn't get defensive and listen to this point, thank you very much. I'd like to continue. Another thing that we have to understand is everybody's like, man, back in the day, community. Well, back in the day, we didn't really have the issues with housing costing what it costs. The issues that we have now, we really didn't have back then. And now grandmamas are having to work well into retirement age. People are having to work 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs, to keep their housing. People are struggling to get mental health care. So when they're getting home, they're burnt out. They're tired mentally and emotionally. They're dealing with an abusive boss. I really hate to say this, and it should not be this way. So don't argue with me. I'm not saying that this is right. But it's almost like, not that it's never not been this way, but it's almost like having kids has become a luxury. Because everybody's going through very real shit. So it's like when you have kids, you have to kind of set the expectation that I might have to pay for a village. I might have to pay a babysitter or a nanny, or I don't know, make my husband get off his lazy fucking ass and do something. Maybe not just simply expecting that the women in your life are just going to absorb the responsibilities of raising a child with you, but actually communicating and having discussions of, hey, I'm having a baby, and just so we're all on the same page, what role would you feel comfortable playing in this child's life? These are the things that I'm needing. What would you be willing to do, so that there's clear communication and everybody has boundaries in place? With me and my friends, they know I am not the babysitter. I will gladly, sure, if you need a babysitter, I'll help you pay for one. I'll ask other people in the friend group if they can help out, if they're able to, but I'm not the babysitter. And I've made that clear, so that expectation is never put on me. And plus, there's other ways that I come through for my friends. Now, when my kids were young and couldn't be left alone, first and foremost, their dad. He didn't step up financially, but if he was able to pick those kids up, anytime I needed the kids to be picked up, he might have bitched and complained about it, but he picked the fucking kids up. And I was never the type of woman who would keep his kids from him. And I was also lucky that if neither him or I could do something, I did have friends who didn't mind babysitting or doing what they could at the end of the day. But I also respected that if they were tired or sick or had another engagement or just didn't want to, then it falls on me. It falls on their bald head ass daddy. My attitude was, hey, you're not going to pay child support? The least you can fucking do is get these kids so I can go to this work meeting, or so I could go out of town, or so that I can recover from being sick. That's the least the fuck you could do. So he was always the first option, and then there was the village. But the whole point of the matter is, I didn't just go to my village first and just let him sit on his ass and not do shit. So I think the important takeaways from this conversation is, what is the damn daddy doing? The uncles, the grandfathers, what are they doing in this scenario? Or are you solely relying on everybody else to absorb what they're not doing? Did you communicate with your crew about expectations, what they would be willing to do, what role they want to play in that child's life? And did you do it in a way that wasn't hostile? And if you don't do this for me, we can't be friends, or you can't see your grandkids if you can't give up your life to watch them. And then also accepting the fact that you might have to pay a babysitter. Shit's expensive. I'm not saying it's easy, but at the end of the day, you got to figure out something unless you change your schedule or cancel your plans. In a perfect world, we would all be high energy, making the money that we want to make. We wouldn't have to work. We wouldn't have to worry about the shit that we have to worry about now. And we would all be loving and nurturing, and fathers would do what the fuck they're supposed to do. But we don't live in that world necessarily. So we got to make it work with what we have. And everybody likes to tell me, well, it should be. I don't give a fuck about what it should be. This is what it is. And we have to take that into account as we make decisions and move forward.